Hi, in this slide I want to review the challenges ahead. When we find a losing customer, and behind it is sort of a misinterpreted policy. The policy's good in general, but they're not. It's to an extreme. Um, our challenge is to how do we go out and say, what you're doing is it's a good goal, and in addition, you can look at some other things to improve your supply chain buying and therefore grow your bottom line. Uh, but to do that with contractors, we're going to have to teach them why and how they should measure uptime, how many hours they bill divided by the payroll hours, and what are things that can get that ratio to go higher, and therefore they'll have better total supply chain math. With retail dealers, we're selling these guys, and maybe we're getting all the business, and because we're greedy, we'd like to sell them even more business and get paid on time. Well, that means we have to be put our consultant hat and figure out how can we sell the product not just to them but through them, and give them ideas for how to grow their business profitably so they can need more stuff and have the profits to reinvest, to have the working capital to pay their bills on time. Um, but these kinds of extra sell-through services that we do, we really only want to do it for customers that are of a certain size or bigger, because otherwise the fixed cost of trying to teach them isn't worth the incremental gain on somebody who's really small or somebody who just isn't capable of doing it because they're self-employed. They don't really want to be an entrepreneur and create an ever better wealth machine. Um, and we should be getting the lion's share of the business. I mean, I'm not interested in going out and saying, thank you for giving me a third of the business. You're a big guy and you're giving two-thirds to my competitors. Why should I want to grow your business 15% profitably so you can feed my suppliers, my competitors, the majority of it? If you call me first for everything, then that's great, and I will work with you to help grow your business profitably with these extra sell-through services. When we call on industrial and institutional accounts, and we're selling the maintenance, repair, and operating items. And basically, we have a vendor-managed inventory system. There's a place where our stuff goes. Our people are able to go in there and take stock and figure out what to rebuy and top it off on a sort of regular basis. This is where we want to do an audit where we go follow the product all the way through the place, follow the paperwork all the way through the place to see if we can find between the silos pain, inefficiencies, whatever. They may have de facto outsourced a little bit of their demand replenishment activity to us, our people. On a more formal basis, they may outsource it all, and we might get an integrated supply contract. We ran into a case study earlier where the buyer was under huge pressure to get lower prices, and we said, no problem. You name the price, but we will name the supply chain math terms. And that allowed us to double the volume, tune line items and order sizes and the demand replenishment places, etc. So it all worked out. So it was a win-win on both sides. We will look at case studies for industrial institutional accounts where the distributor is selling an OEM, that's a component that's going into what the manufacturer is making, and find that by retuning their just-in-time policy or philosophy, we can get much more win-win productive vendor-managed inventory inputs there. Sometimes we do big bids for governments, utilities, buying group members, and under that contract there could be a range of different creatures that are buying it. So let's each call them independent agents, and their buying behaviors can be different. So under one contract we can find some in a sense, sub-customers who are very profitable and other ones that are very unprofitable. But we can go look at the super profitable ones and say how and why are they buying, and why is that so productive for us and hopefully for them. And then how do we use that information in those case studies to say, look, you at the other end who are buying inefficiently, it's possible to buy better. You have people in your own contract that are doing that. I put down here in the orange box sort of a key concept. I think a lot of people, when they go and sell stuff over and over and over to a customer, they kind of think, well, regardless of the item, we should try to get some certain number of turns. Let's just say 12 turns a year. It gets down to 2 weeks. We ship you another 4 weeks. They could ship to 6 weeks, down to 2 weeks. It averages 4 weeks. It's turning 12 times a year. That does not work for highly popular but tiny little items. Think a 25 and a line item that's 25 cents in margin, and maybe that's you buy it for 10 cents and you sell it for 25 cents. That's a big margin or markup in it, but for the transactional activity cost per line item, it's a killer. And it's a killer for the customer too. And when they stock out for lack of a 25-cent value widget, that's crazy. So that's where we to say maybe we should think in terms of when a customer buys something, they should buy a minimum of about $25 of stuff. That would give the distributor somewhere between $8-9 of margin, let's say, which might be enough to cover an $8 pick cost in the warehouse. They're not going to make any money on a $25 line item. But that may be a full year's supply. If the widget's really 25 cents and the guy's buying $25 worth, that's 100 widgets. Then they need 2 per week, type of thing. But they'll never stock out of it, so they won't have any downtime, emergency rush orders. And $25 of stuff for a year is no carrying cost, no space taken up for ridiculous amounts of transactional activity costs on both sides of the fence. So that's a key concept to think about. So those are some general things to think about. Now let's get into some specific case studies. We have one more general picture that we're going to look at, and then we'll get into case studies. Thanks.